Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be in time and space. Kinneas here, Noob Flights. All right, I want to try to do some radio navigation with steam gauges. So the Cessna Skyhawk without the G1000. So taking off here from Colorado Springs, Colorado at Meadow Lake Airport. And I probably should have pulled up the map beforehand, because out here it's rather difficult to see. It's impossible, I think, to see the VFR stations. Yeah, so the in-game VFR, again, it's a VFR map. But still, it should have what you need on it. I mean, there's some. Well, maybe you can. Yeah, I guess you can. But boy, you got to zoom in far. Okay, so what we're looking for, here I'm taking off here, what we're looking for is VORs, and they look a little bit like they look a little bit like this. FQF. I'm trying to center, and this thing just is all over the place. FQF, they look like that, little shields. I'm having a difficult time appreciating any of the maps at all in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So here's another one. I know it's out here, Hugo. But again, you gotta be just... And then I'm not getting Hugo. I mean, I see it. So it just doesn't help me. Okay? So it's not... this isn't the best tool for just doing what we need. Okay, so I'm gonna open up SkyVector, okay? And you can use whatever software that you like to use, but I like to use this. So let me come back over to K-Fly up here, our airport. On the main map you can see them, but you still have to zoom in, and it's just, oh, it's so frustrating, so difficult using it, and I don't understand why why it's so poor. Such a great achievement that Microsoft Flight Simulator is. And then it just, wow. Okay, so there's Hugo I was talking about, okay? So the frequency is 1121. All the VORs look like that, and they've got these blue dials around them. And the frequency. So that's the first one we're going to go to. We're taking off from right here. All right, and then, we can try to avoid airspace, but there's another one down here. Cape Hub. Where is it? Oh yeah, it's right here. All right, it says Pueblo 1167 PUB, and it's pointing down here, and here's the blue radial for it. So there's two in my area that I can tune to, and then to get back to my airport I can tune to the one that's right here, Black Forest, the BRK. And that's right here next to the airport. Hopefully you can see my mouse. Yeah, you can't see my mouse. Okay, good. So there's 3 right there, and that's practice. That's great practice right there. All we need to do is dial those in. So again, the first one we're going to do 1121. So let's come back to our plane, and we'll set that up. So we need to be using the nav radio. The top one here is the comm radio. The one right below it is nav 1, and I believe this is nav 2, or just one of these is in standby. If you click the mouse, if you click this button, it switches from comm radio to nav radio. Let's get our frequency again. 1121. So 1121. And we make it active. Now, nothing's going on over here. We're not seeing it, but we're on the ground. And it is a little bit of a distance away. So what we need to do is take off, circle, get some elevation, and see if we can't pick it up. These VOR are old, and they operate on line of sight. So if it's over a hill, so we're on the ground and there's a hill between us and it, we can't see the radio. We can't get the radio signal. So we need to get up into the air to see it. So let's do that and see what we get. Yikes, I'm all over the place. Okay, so we're up in the air and we're climbing around the airport, and I don't have any movement on the dial yet. So we'll just keep climbing up a little bit more. We know that it is east. I just got something moving. I just got a from arrow on the steam gauge there. So that arrow just flipped. Oh, maybe this will help too. This is set to GPS at the moment. There it is. So don't forget to hit the nav button. Okay. So it says it is to our east. If we turn this knob and have it line up in the center. It gets really touchy. Now we got a beam from that radio station shooting basically straight at us, and it's telling us to go east. East, east, east. So start turning east. I didn't have to spin the dial, and I could have still figured out which way the station is from me. But it helps to center it up. So the radio station shoots out beams in 360 degrees, and when it first picked up and the bar was over here, that was one of the other radials that was shooting out from it, like 360 radio signals. So we lined it up in a kind of like a straight beam to us, kind of, and then it tells us right there exactly what heading to turn to, and it's a bit of ways away. Let me go ahead and get myself in straight and level flight for this. So I think they said straight and level flight. They kind of want you to be 21 to 2300. We're supposed to be doing like 90 knots. So that's the 90 knot range. You still have to slide over a little bit. I can't get on heading to save my life today. Alright. Now stay there. I didn't check the winds before we took off. But we do seem to be getting a tiny little bit of a push from the north. Yeah, she wants to go. She wants to go south. So not exactly straight and level, but you know, we're still relatively in the ballpark. Losing a little bit of altitude. Trying to keep our vertical speed needle at 0. And you see the needle on our VOR is actually moved over a little bit. Now it's not more this to this side of the east, it's just a little bit more to this side of east. So we'll adjust our course a tiny little bit here. Applying just a tiny bit of trim to the ailerons and rudder to see if we can stop that push that we're getting. She wants to roll and go to the south. That's helping a little bit. Still losing some altitude. Give her a little bit more power. Now too much power. So I'm going to pause this and get us closer to the needle. And then once we get to that one, we will tune the Pueblo VOR and start heading that way. Alright, so in the last few minutes heading towards the Hugo VOR, I've drifted more to the south. And I'm still drifting to the south. And now you see the needle is shifted over to the right. So we need to turn and correct back over to the right to get back on course with our needle. And you're just going to the compass heading that the needle is currently pointing. Or, you know, a little more than that to compensate. But once you go a little bit more than that, it should start sliding back into position. And she's slowly starting to move back into position. Whoops. Now the needle is almost back to east, so I'm going to just start slowly easing it back. Try to get right where the needle is at. And so now we're basically centered up again on it. Good. All right, we'll see what happens when we get a little bit closer. Be right back. Okay, we're getting closer, but I've drifted considerably. One thing, and when you're doing these long flights and they actually give you an autopilot, you can fly it by hand, but you might as well take advantage of some of the tools that they give you. So right now, I'm still heading east a little bit, you know, more towards 120 degrees to try to get back onto center. But you can engage your autopilot and use the heading button and use your radio compass over here to set the course that you're following on this needle right here. Let me move that rose called the kissy lips. Move the little indicator, the heading bug, And we're getting close to Hugo right now. We can kind of see it on our map. Why we don't get any information and read out information on this screen, I'm not really sure. It should have been telling us, you know, what are the distances to it and everything else. Either way, we know that this is the VOR that we were looking for, HGO. See, as we get closer to it, how it's moving more and more on us. It's because we're getting closer and closer to it, and that becomes more accurate. As we get over closer and closer to it, it's gonna really start to move, and then this arrow may switch to a down arrow as we pass over the top of it. So get my plane to turn a little bit to the east. See the needle moving back towards the center. Okay, let's see if we can get it right on it. It's hard to stay right on it. And you can have your autopilot hold your altitude if you want to, so you don't have to worry about that either. I was fighting it the whole way, and I thought, I just want to use the autopilot. And well, why? Why? Nobody's stopping me. Nobody's stopping me from using the autopilot. Nobody's stopping you from using it. What we're trying to do here is track that heading. This looks like we're heading over HGO right now. So let's keep an eye on our arrows in that. Come on, airplane, turn. Okay. It's switched. We're right over the top of it. Okay. When it switches like that, you know you've just passed it. Okay, great. So we flew to the HGO VOR and we intercepted it, and now we want to turn south and go to the Pueblo VOR. So let me grab Sky Vector again. You could have written this down beforehand or pull out your pad in flight or your maps or whatever you have, and it's 1167. So let's go back to our radio. And we want to press this button. Oh, no, we want to press it so we're down here in the nav radio. I got such short-term memory. 1167. We want to tune this to 1167. Alright, we need to press this to make it active. Also, I showed you this up here where I set our source from nav to GPS. You can also set that right here using the CDI button. So there's, it's following a GPS course, and now it's back on. So right now, the bar is shifted to the south side of this dial. Alright, let's see if I can give you a better look at that. I need an exact camera mode for that. But it's on this side, it's to the south. We know that it's to the south. There's the south. So another thing we can also do is use that knob, and that's a radial. Right now, imagine the radio station is to the south and it's shooting a beam out that's going up and down. But we want to shoot, we want to be on the beam that is pointing at us. That's the way I understand it. So we need to spin this until it lines up center with either a to or from arrow. Okay. So again, we know that it's to the south. So right now it says we're from. So if we want to, or let's spin it back around so we got a 2 arrow. Just keep rotating. Almost there. Okay. So now the arrow says that we're heading towards the VOR. And it even says 2 inside that little arrow. And so we want to fly a heading of 22, 23, 20, 22 and a half. So let's come down here and spin this over to that. It's right about 21, 22 and a half. My plane is drifting a little bit. You see that? It's not going exactly to the heading bug that I want. Let's turn this a little bit more then, see if we can get that to work with us here. That's the nose of the plane right there. So we're pretty much, we're close to it. Said sometimes you have to overshoot it. I'm afraid to make a big correction, but we are a considerable distance away still. So I'm going to swing a lot further out towards the west and see if I can get that needle to get into the center. Closer. Then we'll swing right back to 22. Okay. Right about there. Okay, back to 22. On delay, on delay. Okay. All right. And like I said, we're using autopilot now and the heading to hold this course and just make small little adjustments while we travel this. And as we get much closer to Pueblo, I'll come right back. Might as well do a little sightseeing. The winds are really giving us some work, but that's fine. That's part of the training. But you see how it has been blowing us around, and that I have to keep changing heading to get that needle to keep centered.